To use that word momentum, boy, have Spurs got it at the moment, Ian, after that draw at the Bernabeu, of course, thrashing Liverpool at Wembley. Are they now, would you say, Manchester City's greatest title challengers?
Well, might know a bit more about that, might we, on Saturday, because
Sure.
It's Manchester United against Tottenham, Saturday lunchtime. What will United's approach be in that game when they've got Harry Kane and Dele Alli to deal with, not to mention their South Korean Son, who had a great game at Wembley, I thought, yesterday. Tottenham are in a good place. I've always thought, despite their early problems at Wembley, that they would be in this title race. They have been the last couple of years. They look in a good place just at the moment, and I think they'll go to Manchester United and attack them on Saturday. I think they'll go for it there. I think they'll be going for the 3 points. I don't know whether they're the biggest challengers or not, but I tell you what, they are bang in this race.
I think they are, and I'll hold my hands up and say, I thought it was going to be a more difficult season. Now, it might be, but I would say at the moment they're the biggest challengers to City. They're the second best team in the Premier League at the moment behind the Blues. The manager's got a plan. The team know what they're doing. They're generally playing with three at the back. It might change now and again. You've got wing-backs that can change sides. Don't forget, there's no Dembele, there's no Wanyama yet, they're still out injured, Lamella's still out injured, but you've got Eriksen playing great, you've got Ali, who wasn't brilliant at the weekend by his standards, but still did enough, and you've got arguably one of the best strikers in European football. Barring a disaster, they're certainly, in my opinion, in the title race.
Ian, that 5-2 defeat against Arsenal proved to be the final nail in the coffin of Ronald Koeman's Everton career. Had to go?
I don't think so. I think they probably panicked a bit. It was only 5 months ago that Ronald Koeman, who arrived, you remember, as a big coup from Southampton, took Everton to 7th place. They qualified for Europe. He was a bit of a hero. Well, it's all gone wrong this season, but the main reason it's all gone wrong, and I don't know who you blame for this, partly Koeman, partly the recruiting team, they just haven't replaced Romelu Lukaku. 25 league goals last season. They don't even have a proper number 9 this season. And that's why Everton are struggling. There are one or two other reasons as well. But did they have to fire the manager? I don't know. And who's going to come in and replace him and do a great job? Not sure, really, because they look a slow side, short of ideas, ageing, shaky defence. And they're still not going to have a big striker either. So it's a poison chalice, I think.
It's Monday, so you know that Craig Burley is back in time to tackle some of ESPN FC's player power rankings.
Editorial.
He's ready
Power
for
rankings.
this. Wait, first off, two names
to do with Burley.
Two names that I didn't think we'd ever see in the player power rankings anytime soon. Memphis Depay and Mesut Ozil, but I suppose everyone, at Arsenal had a free-for-all this weekend.
Well, I don't think you'll be seeing Memphis Depay in it too often.
Back again.
But yes, he did score a hat-trick. Fair play to him. Not good enough to play in the Premier League, so he can hot-foot it to France and do whatever he's doing there. That's fine.
Ouch.
Mesut Ozil, yeah, he did have a good weekend, and he's had a lot of stick recently. Fair's fair, he did play well. It was Everton who weren't great, had a man sent off. But generally his game was good. Harry Kane, we've talked about him a lot recently, he's been fantastic. Even Sami Khedira in the goals, it's not like Sami Khedira, not in the twilight of his career, but sort of heading that way, not generally a goal scorer. Looking down here, Sergio Aguero, he scored a penalty against Burnley.
And he makes it in our top 5.
I mean...
He's saying he should be a little lower, or not even on the list.
Penalty against Burnley are on the list. You know, all the guys, Cavani, I mean, he's a great free kick he scored amongst other things. They're going well. Sani played well again. What I would say is, you know, if you're just looking at people, you know, big win for Brighton, I think it was Friday night. Glenn Murray at West Ham, 2 goals, not on the list. Batshuayi, not having a great time at Chelsea. A lot of people don't think he's good enough to start. Comes off the bench, rescues the game. 2 goals. Christian Eriksen for Tottenham and their demolition of Liverpool. Excellent. So was Heung-min Son. Dele Alli got better as the game.
What about any goalkeepers or any defenders that caught your eye?
So none of those players even near the list. Sergio Aguero, he's a name. What about Simon Zaza? Simon Zaza, Valencia have been great start to the season. Couldn't kick his own backside in England. He got a double again. He got a double in. No one near the list. I could go on. I could go through all the countries. That's fair enough. If you like these players, great. Love Sergio Aguero. 1 goal v Burnley, it was from a penalty kick. All the guys I mentioned were superb, banging them in, but not on the list. Couldn't make this up. Couldn't make it up. I could be here all day.
He could be here all day.
Could be here all day.
Let's give him a little
Glenn
break.
Murray, don't worry, you play for Brighton, you can't get on the list. Simon Zaza, you're not going to get on the list. Goalkeepers, you might have made it.
Forget about it.
That's you for the year. No Messi, no Ronaldo, I'll give you that. Start thinking outside the box. Somebody think outside the box. Don't punch it in a computer and come up with the numbers. Come back to me with some real players.
Give us a goalkeeper at least. There are some pretty stunning saves. I'm sure we can find a couple to put more
Delve
on.
a bit deeper.
All right, listen to Craig Burley. Thanks so much to Craig. We'll continue seeing all the details for these rankings. You know where at ESPNFC.com.
Speaking of changing personnel, a lot of pressure going into the Chelsea game against Watford on Antonio Conte. They, of course, came from behind to win 4-2. An interesting quote from Thibaut Courtois. We're showing we want to fight again now. First, as a group of players, we want to win games. Some of us remember what happened 2 years ago, and we don't want the same thing to happen again. Ian, it was, of course, a big win for Chelsea, but you just get a feeling things aren't quite right there.
Well, they never are they? Chelsea. It's like a soap opera. It never feels settled. And do you know what? It's a kind of creative tension. It's been going on for a decade. They keep on winning trophies doing it. I thought they were lucky to win, to be honest with you, because Watford missed, what, 2 or 3 gilt-edged opportunities. They could have been 4-1 up at one stage. They're playing pretty well, but you got to give credit to Chelsea. It was a great substitution, bringing on Batshuayi. He came out with 2 goals. They get the points, and, you know, you just get the feeling with Conte. He knows how to win. He knows how to ride through storms, and I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but it's maybe you'd need a vivid imagination to see them actually retaining the title.
Tough times at Liverpool, just 1 win in their last 6 league games. They are 9th in the Premier League table. Craig Burley is here with me for this one. Craig, everyone's looking to play the blame game. Is it Jurgen Klopp or the players? Who would you blame right now after that dismal showing that we saw at the weekend?
Well, the buck always stops with the manager.
But the players aren't really helping themselves at all.
No, but I'm getting to that.
Okay.
The buck always stops with the manager. That's where the head will roll when... We've seen it with Koeman. We could talk about the players all day at Everton, but Koeman's head's rolled today. Yeah. The players haven't. The recruitment from Liverpool defensively was absolutely shocking in the summer. I mean, shocking for a club back in the Champions League to sit in their backside and put all the cards on one player, Van Dijk, for Liverpool, while spending 90% of their energy fending off a humongous bid for Barcelona, when clearly the problems were mainly in one area of the pitch. So that has to be Liverpool stroke recruitment stroke Klopp, however that evolves within that club. And there's all sorts of stories about committees and who signs them and who recruits them and who scouts them. But ultimately the manager has to get his players in. Defensively, they are a disgrace. I mean, they are a shambles.
Is it their attitude, though, or is it that the players are just not good enough?
It's nothing to do with attitude. It's to do with football intelligence. It's to do with brains. It's to do with being able to read the game. You don't have to be the quickest defender. You don't have to be the biggest defender, the strongest defender, the best footballing defender, the best in the air. But you've got to be one of the best at reading the games. Liverpool defenders cannot read or smell or sniff out dangerous situations. I mean, we could talk about Lovren all day, but he's just made too many mistakes. He shouldn't be wearing a Liverpool strip. Joe Gomez is a young boy. I would never, 20 years old. I always give youngsters leeway. Alberto Moreno, right? How the hell he's still playing left back for Liverpool after his performances of the last couple of seasons is beyond me. So when you put all that in the mixing pot, and then you put a coach in who isn't changing things, he might be changing personnel, but he's not going to a 3 at the back. He's not changing things up to try and fix it. He's just plumping people in and seeing if he's getting a different result. Then they're all to blame. They're all to blame. I mean, Tottenham could have beaten them by 5 or 6 before half-time whistle had blown. That's how bad they were at the weekend. I'm flabbergasted. I like watching them going forward. But quite frankly, they've got a defence that would be no better than a team just hovering above the relegation in the Premier League in England. That's how bad they are.
Well, where does Liverpool go from here? That, of course, will be the big question that Jurgen Klopp himself has
and of course, sorry, just to finish this, you can smoke and mirror this up by saying we're getting results in the Champions League, and they did shellac Maribor 7-0. They're in one of the weakest groups. So don't let the Champions League group muddy the waters. When it gets to the big boys in the Premier League, and Tottenham are a very good side, they got smashed. They got smashed at Man City, and you can talk about the Mane sending off all you want, right? They got smashed at City, they got smashed by Tottenham. The only big team they've beat is another one that's on its backside, and that's Arsenal, right? When it comes to the real big boys, they're getting left floundering at the back.
All right, thanks so much, Craig Burley. So Liverpool with a lot of questions to answer. We'll see if Jurgen Klopp does indeed find those answers anytime soon.
Welcome to Extra Time. Monday saw the glitz and the glamour, didn't it, of the FIFA awards, and that is the subject of our first question. Ian, who will be the 3 FIFA best player contenders for next year?
Oh, I wonder. Oh, goodness knows. I've not a clue what at this stage. Let's go Neymar, Messi and Ronaldo for originality. No, I don't know. Somebody's going to break through. Conte maybe even from Chelsea. Maybe he'll get through. I like David Silva. Why doesn't he ever win anything?
Yeah, exactly. Same old faces.
It will be the same. Same three. Craig, don't do that. It's not good for the old...
I don't care. I don't care.
Maybe De Bruyne gets in.
No.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he gets in. Well, little...
You're going to have a World Cup year, aren't you? It's a World Cup year.
Yeah.
So Neymar will be there.
Okay.
Messi will be there.
How about a little Hurricane action?
Well, England will be out and knock out.
Okay, I don't
Is
know.
this-
I'm just giving you names. You ask me for names, I give you names.
Yeah, exactly. Is this FIFA thing going to be in the same day every year?
I doubt it.
Are you going to ask off already?
Yes.
You're going to give them a year's notice?
Yes. I'm giving them...
There's a lot of things you seem to be avoiding on the show. I'm worried about your days.
And usually there's very good reason why I avoid them. Because they're nonsense. So I'm pitching ahead to the boss if he's in his room,
Okay.
put up there in his dungeon. If you're watching, I'm giving you a year's notice.
Okay.
I want
the 2018 awards. You
It's-
want anything else you want off?
About Ballon d'Or?
who's it running for US soccer if that comes up?
Right. Yeah, the president.
Is the Hex difficult or
Right.
not?
Okay.
No, that won't be around for another 4 years, so don't
Is
worry
it the
about it.
greatest ever generation of US and Mexican players?
Yes.
I mean, there's just lots. Scottish football. Yeah.
All right, I think it's easier to say, when are you coming in?
Yeah.
Throw some more in, I'll tell you. Well, throw some more in.
Messi, Ronaldo?
Messi, who's the best Messi
Things that
Ronaldo?
upset you. Cavani and Neymar penalty.
Cavani and Neymar.
Best
penalty.
league in the world?
Best league in the
Yeah.
world, Premier League, or there's lots.
Yeah.
You hate Celtic.
I hate Celtic. Don't bring that up. You're just bitter. You're just bitter 20 odd years later because that's all I think about. Will the US win the World Cup in our lifetime?
How many fingers do you have in your hand?
It's like,
Okay.
where did they get these people?
Let's move on.
I mean, they're just charlatans, half of them.
Who are these people?
Just the usual cronies.
I don't know who these people are.
That's what I'm talking about. And the whole thing is very important. Let's talk about this. That's huge. Very important, you know. What I'm going to do now in the broadcast, I'm going to bore you to tears now for the next 7.5 minutes. And then at the end, I'm going to walk off and go, that was great. Life's full of them, isn't it?
Oh, well, that never happens here. That's for sure.
No, because at least we're honest.
That was awful.
At least we're honest. People don't like honesty.
Okay,
Some people.
let's have some honesty now from you, Ian. If you had to pick someone for the Everton manager job,
Oh, that's in my list.
who would it be?
I'm going to go Sean Dyche of Burnley. I think he's ready for the step up, and I think it might be a good fit. And incidentally, I've got here an invitation for next year's Best FIFA Awards for Craig Burley.
Oh, lovely.
I thought that was my yellow card. I thought there was a yellow card for shouting at you.
Get that as well.
Yeah, red card. Do you know who I'm going for? I shouldn't need to tell you.
What's his name at Watford? Silver.
No. Yes?
He loves Silver, doesn't
I know, but what about Tony Pulis?
No, he's gone.
No,
Oh, that's it? That's it?
Yeah.
You turned the page?
I've divorced him. I like Tony,
Marco
but
Silva is his new
Marco
man.
Silva.
Crush.
Apparently, according to Don Hutchinson, our colleague in the UK, he's
What
got
does
his
he know?
Well, I'll text Don and ask him. I'll say, what do you know, Don? He said he's got his eyes on the Arsenal job. Not Don, that's Marco Silva.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he has, but I think he's got more chance of getting the Everton job if Watford were to release him.
He's done well so far. Would you
He's
like
done.
to throw in a name, Ali? Bruce Arena?
Pep, Bruce Arena, Bob Bradley.
Double team.
Well, Bob's here. It's all hands on deck. How'd that work out? Marco
By the way,
Silva.
Sean Dyche was complaining about the penalty on Bernardo Silva.
Yes,
What?
he
Come
was.
on, man.
Yes.
By the way, that went to the FA to look at it and for diving.
Yeah.
And it
I think
got-
it was dismissed very quickly.
Well, of course I get dismissed. What's stupid? How stupid are these people?
Which people? Again?
Well, who put it in front of the FA?
I don't know. It was
Well, find out. I mean, time wasters.
Time went.
Absolute
Okay, if you had to
time
sack
wasters.
one Premier League manager right now, who would it be and why?
Arsene Wenger. Just not because they're doing worse than I thought they were, but just because his time's up.
Yeah.
I think for that club.
Ian, who would you sack?
Oh, I hate the question, really, because I never want to be sacking managers. There's enough of that goes on. But I think the guy in most danger at the moment is Slaven Bilic at West Ham.
Yeah. Ali, who'd you want gone?
Arsene Wenger.
Steve Bruce is gone. You had
Yeah, so I have no agenda, right? I have no agenda. No, you're right. But I didn't like Sean Dyche's reaction yesterday.
Yeah, so Sean?
No, I wouldn't sack him, though. I would say Arsene Wenger on principle, and Jurgen Klopp better be watching. Because if I were making the decision, I said, look, I want to see improvement. I haven't seen improvement with this team.
That is the end of Extra Time. ESPN FC returns tomorrow. Who knows what we'll be discussing?
Yeah,
I know. I'm doing the running order.
Are you in tomorrow?
Of course I'm in tomorrow.
Well, depending on what we talk about.
Well, I might be back.
Steve Nicol returns from Disney World.
Oh, definitely not.
It's going to be very red.
After 16 months in charge, Ronald Koeman has been sacked as manager of Everton. I mean, Everton only won 2 in, I believe, 9 league games so far. Craig Burley here with me for this one. Craig, with that stat, I mean, this isn't really surprising, is it?
No, and it's not surprising because they've got new investment in the club as well. So Bill Kenwright, who for years and years was a steady pair of hands and generally gave all these managers time. But there's no impetus at Everton. We know, and it's been documented, they spent a lot of money in the summer. But they bought some bad players.
Yeah.
They brought in some bad players allied to the poor players they've got there and the poor coaching. When you add that all up, it's been a disaster. Now, all the talk has been, well, we haven't placed Lukaku and we let him go. They can't keep a clean sheet. They can't defend. I think in the last 12 or 13 games, they've had 1 clean sheet, and it's been in that League Cup against Sunderland. I mean, United battered them, Arsenal battered them. They somehow managed to get a draw at City. Chelsea pasted them. They got beat in the Europa League comfortably. They've been losing goals for fun. They look weak at the back. They look weak in the midfield. There's no real shape about the team, and I am not surprised. The only big surprise is that he's the only one we're talking about today from the Premier League, because he's not alone and been on the pole position for the sack and now got the sack. There are many others, but I think it was destined to happen.
All right, well, of course, the next question will be who will take over at Everton and who really and truly would want to take over at Everton given all those problems. Craig, here are some of the list of names. We even heard Ryan Giggs might be throwing his hat into the ring as well. Anyone here that you think could take this job on?
Well, I'm sure he is throwing it in the hat, but I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole, to be honest. You know, go and learn Go and do what some of these guys did. David Unsworth's been at Everton for a while. I think he takes the youngsters. That's a no-no. I don't think Everton fans want David Moyes back. I don't think. I personally don't think he's a bad manager. I think Everton fans forget the 10+ great years he had there, taking them into the Champions League and taking them to an FA Cup final.
So why wouldn't they give him another chance?
Well, because I think I'm hearing, you know, I'm not hearing. I'm listening to some UK radio stuff and that, and the fans. It's a style of play, and if you want a different style of play. And a you know, a forward-thinking, progressive style of play, then Sean Dyche is probably not your man either, as good a manager as he is, and clearly he's done that. Ancelotti's a no-no for me, because he needs to work with better players, and I think he would quickly self-combust. I've been looking at some of them. Allardyce is an obvious choice, but again we go down to the style of the way he plays. I don't think it's as bad as some make out, but I don't think Sam Allardyce, I'd be surprised if he takes that job. But I don't think it's a bad job for people to have. The only way is up now.
That's true. They're in the relegation zone.
The only way for them to go is up. As poor as the players have been, they're slightly better than where they are. I don't know what way they're going to go, whether they're going to go down the foreigner road again, whether they're going to look in at somebody who's going to, like an Allardyce. I just don't know, but the names are not exactly inspiring. But then it's not the biggest job in England. It's not a job that people are crawling over broken glass to get to. It's as simple as that.
I don't know if I'd crawl over broken glass to get to anything, but thanks so much to Craig Burley for that one. So Everton in the relegation zone in the table, so something had to happen, and that meant Ronald Koeman is no longer their manager. It's official, Cristiano Ronaldo has won FIFA's The Best Player of the Year award. Craig Burley is here with me on this one. He loves talking about awards, really and truly. Now, if we have a look at the stats, Craig, of course, the only ones that you'd think he would go up against are Lionel Messi, as always, and Neymar. But this really was Ronaldo's to lose, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Neymar really not in contention, never has been. And he's out of contention for me. Even if he scored 60 goals after his debacle with the penalty kicks and the free kicks and the crying like a big baby.
He's still not a class of Ronaldo or Messi.
No, and he's got some threat with Mbappe and a few other players coming through in different parts of Europe as well. But the two lads that are vying for almost everything in recent years, in the last decade, the stats are quite incredible. Yes, Messi's stats have been a little bit better in terms of he's played a little bit more games, he's scored a little bit more goals. But Ronaldo winning it and I would agree with that, because his stats once again have been comparable to an extent, but he's delivered La Liga with his team. That's a team event, I know, and he delivered the Champions League again. They retained the Champions League, first time in this era. It's been done under the current format. So I think for that reason, I would go with Ronaldo. But you could split hairs with these two just about every year.
Exactly.
If you're a Ronaldo fanboy, and if you're a Messi fanboy, you're always going to sit on one side of the fence, and you're never going to quite see that clear picture. But I think just Ronaldo, and everybody else just seems to be playing catch up with these guys. It's like nobody's really doing it. It's almost like we're waiting until they get too old, too injured, too slow, and too over the hill for the rest of them to come up, because they've just set quite an incredible standard.
Indeed.
Yes.
I mean, it always in between those two. Yeah. Not really much discussion there for that. Thanks so much to Craig Burley. So congrats to Cristiano Ronaldo. He has yet another award to add to his cabinet.
In Ligue 1, it was all about Le Classique this weekend. Marseille 2, PSG 2. Neymar getting sent off for a second yellow card. He's not happy with the treatment he's received since he's moved to France.
Let's start with the baguettes.
There were baguettes, orange juice, Coca-Cola. It was exaggerated. This is not football. It's not the way to go. It's the same as going to a restaurant and hitting the chef with a knife and fork. Ian, this is him talking about the fact that the Marseille fans were throwing things at him. They didn't roll out the red carpet for the Brazilian.
Yeah, I think he's being pretty unrealistic, and he's actually made sure that every time he ever returns to the velodrome, he's really going to get the treatment. What a quote to come up with. Who does he think he is? Throwing knives and forks at the chef. You're the away guy, and you're going to be targeted if you go into an arena like Marseille. Good game, though.
I mean, to be honest with you, it would depend. It would depend what kind of baguette it was.
Right. Because there's only one type of baguette, isn't there?
Well, it depends on the filling.
Yeah. Oh, yes, okay, there we go.
I mean, it would be a salami, prosciutto, Parma ham filling. I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Right. What would put you off?
Just plain cheese and tomato.
Something like that?
Yeah, but
he riled him up. It clearly riled him up because then he got sent off.
You shouldn't. Listen, joking aside, it happens, but as a fan, you shouldn't be throwing things anyway.
But then as a player, can you understand his reaction? You know, he's on the pitch, he's getting side down, the referees aren't protecting him as much.
That's nonsense. If somebody threw something at me in the ground, I wouldn't go out in the media and moan about it unless it was a dangerous object.
Because, oh, by the way, next time he goes and plays away, people have listened and heard what he has said. Let me tell you what they're going to be throwing in. Baguettes, orange juice, Coca-Cola, and whatever other thing.